When I was 14, I wanted nothing more than to please God, change the world, and get a really hot boyfriend. If I could have had big boobs, long curly hair, been a couple of shades lighter, and a few inches taller, that would have been great too. You know, I dreamt of winning an Academy Award, solving world hunger, starting a school for underprivileged kids, and being the voice of my generation. I also wanted to look like Ashley from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, for the Huxtables to be my parents, and to get the inspirational talk at the end of every episode of Full House. I had a plan. Work hard, dress cute, and try to be famous by 23. That way I could be married by 25, have 1.5 kids by 28, and, well, that's about as far as I got, because from the seat of my teenage self, life after 30, looked really grim. You know, my aspirations were often muddled by my overwhelming desire to be liked, accepted, loved even. Adolescence was somewhat difficult for me because I was really lonely. I was almost unbearably uncomfortable in my own skin, and I hated most things about my appearance. Being bullied didn't help with that. I mean, I was teased for pretty much everything, from having short hair to not having any money, or my favorite was when the girls would shove me in the bathroom and be like, girl, she thinks she all that. Don't she think she all that? And I'd be like, no, really, I don't think I'm anything, no. But apparently being smart, ambitious, or having a dream wasn't very cool. I remember the first time I heard Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. I was seriously upset. I honestly felt like God had betrayed me. Like, why would you give all the best words someone could say to one man? Now what was I going to do with my life? You know, I desperately wanted to be a good person and to change the world, and I had never heard someone so eloquently portray an image of peace and humanity. There had to be an explanation for this. So then it dawned on me. Martin Luther King Jr. must be my father. That was it. Why else would I feel such a deep connection with everything that he said? I mean, he said all the things that I was thinking, and honestly, he bears a striking resemblance to my grandfather. This has to be it. I know it seems strange that I thought that MLK was my dad, but I really did. I'd met my father a few times, but we didn't have a relationship, not like we do now. And I didn't understand why he didn't want me. So it was easier to think that my father, my real father, the one whose footsteps I would follow in, was the late, great Martin Luther King Jr. This belief was my step into service. You see, the first act of service is recognizing the intention to serve. Acknowledging that burning desire to do something bigger than yourself and to make a difference in the world. Also realizing that some of the things that really impress you are great ideas, they were here before you got here. And you can study those people that came before you. These are your role models. The qualities that you see in them are also in you. And you can allow their legacy to carry you into your future. By 4th grade, things started to change. One day, I was taking a bath. That's actually a really significant part of the story because I never took baths. It was so bad, really, and that when my mom would wake me up to go to school, and my mom's actually here, this might be the first time she's hearing this, she'd wake me up to shower before school, and I would take my pillow off the bed, I'd carry it to the bathroom, I'd throw a towel on the floor, and I would curl up and go back to sleep. All the while, the water is running to create the illusion that I'm actually getting clean. So in addition to being completely filthy, I also wasted a lot of water. But on this particular day, I was taking a bath. And this was right around the time that I started kind of exploring myself, exploring my body. And I noticed that I had these sort of knobbly bits on my chest. It actually felt like the core of a peach, really hard and bumpy. I was totally creeped out, and then kind of excited, because I had just learned in Sunday school, ask and ye shall receive. So, in my bathtub, I put my little hands together, I looked up at God and I said, Dear God, will you bless me with really big boobs? I promise to be good and that I won't ever ask for anything else ever. Well, except for maybe on my birthday. Oh, and Christmas, but that's it really. I mean, I don't know where I got this idea from that big boobs meant that you would be liked, but somehow that's the thought I had in my mind. And I was pretty self-aware at a young age, so I started to get worried that my dream of being Martina Luther King was now being overshadowed by my painful desire for popularity. But was it? Because by now, I was a Girl Scout, and I spent most of my hours after school and on the weekends volunteering. I picked up trash, I fed homeless, I babysat. I was pretty much a good kid on the outside, but on the inside, I was dealing with this massive dilemma. Could I be popular and change the world? And my first draft of my If I Have a Dream speech, it started to morph into the 10 most profound words of middle school. Will you go with me? Check yes, no, or maybe. And by 8th grade, I was an overachieving, boy-crazy, volunteering, tree-hugging, confused teenager. I really, really wanted to inspire my generation, right after I figured out how my best friend Tashia convinced her mom to let her shave her legs. And this leads to the second aspect of service: acceptance. Accepting all the parts of who you are, the spiritual and the shallow, the godly and the God help me. I feel like we try to put youth in categories: good, bad, slacker, achiever, smart or pretty, athletic or creative. And I hate to quote High School Musical, but there's actually a really great moment in the first movie where the father of the lead character, Troy Bolton, played by Zac Efron, is trying to get him to choose between theater and basketball. And Troy very passionately says, "Did you ever think that maybe I could do both?" Who is this generation of youth? Are they confused or creative? Are they empty or open? Are they hopeless or painfully honest? Well, I'd like to take a look. This is our youth. And so is this. And so is this. And this. And this. "87% of young people are currently living in developing countries." 87%. Thank you. Youth are multifaceted. They are all of these things and yet none of them. But the thing that connects young people is service. They have an undeniable ability to influence and impact the world on a local, national, and global scale. So regardless of which group they fit into, young people are the change makers of the world. Many adults spend time trying to make sure that this generation of youth is better than they were. But that makes you forget that contradiction and confusion was actually part of the process. As we start to base our decisions on reason and logic, and sometimes we compromise the very essence of young people, and that is uninhibited belief. Belief that anything is possible, and the willingness to go to great lengths to defend these beliefs. The degree to which young people can make a difference in the world is the degree to which they believe that they can. Honestly, we should be less concerned with whether youth are partying or planting trees, and more concerned with what they believe in. Because the qualities or the behavior that is typically associated with youth fades with every passing year. But our beliefs grow stronger and deeper, and they shape our path. What do we believe? Do we believe that war is inevitable? Or that peace is not our problem? Or that poverty is not our problem? Do we think that value is measured by material possessions? The only role of youth is to be young, to have open minds and hearts, to go through puberty, to get mad, to stand up for what they believe in, and to challenge existing beliefs, to question everything, to make terrible decisions, to learn from their mistakes and to point out ours. But on this journey to discovering who they are, there is one thing that never fails, never hurts, and always leads us closer to the light, and that is service. I'd like to share 3 quick stories about young people who were able to tap into this potential and really make an impact. The first one is my good friend Katie. Now, Katie Stagliano is adorable, and when she was in 4th grade, she got a couple of seeds. She went home, she planted them, and she wound up with a 40-pound cabbage. Now, Katie decided to take this cabbage to a local soup kitchen, and this began her life of service. Now, Katie is 13 years old. She has 6 gardens, a nonprofit called Katie's Crops, and she has fed thousands of homeless people. The second is William from Malawi, who could no longer afford his school fees. And so William spent every day in the library. One day he came across a photo of a windmill, and he thought to himself, if that's possible somewhere, then I could probably make that. Now his entire village thought that he had lost his mind. And after many failed attempts, he did succeed, and he was able to bring electricity to his entire village at the age of 14. And last, but certainly not least, Mark Zuckerberg, who at 20 years old in his dorm room at Harvard, created a little thing called Facebook that has connected us in a way that we could have never imagined. Now, what if this connectivity helps to lead to solving world hunger? You know, I think the reason why a lot of young people don't get involved in service is because they think that there's only a certain type of person that can make a difference in the world. Or they're afraid that what they did on Friday night means that they're not a good enough person to get up and volunteer on Saturday. Well, that could be further from the truth. Because there's not a person that I have met that has not at one time or another struggled with their identity, including myself. So whether you have blue hair or a hijab, you know exactly where you're going or you don't have a clue. Service is the path to purpose. Eve Ensler spoke to my heart when she stood on the TED stage and said, "When we give in the world what we want the most, it heals the broken parts in each of us." Service is the through line in my life. It got me through being bullied. It made me feel closer to God. It helped me unveil my purpose. It taught me responsibility, gave me perspective, exposed me to some of the things that other people dealt with, and it led me to believe that I could make a difference in the world. It's the reason why I went from High School Musical to the United Nations, and it's the only reason why I'm here today. And in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., everyone can be great because everyone can serve. Thank you.